I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. My real name is Shirley Ellis. My nickname is Woody. So when I went to China and I introduced, everybody was a doctor. There was a, I'm doctor this, I'm doctor. Everybody, they were so formal. It was really formal. So I said, let me just introduce myself as Woody. So I said, hello, my name is Woody. Oh, Dr. Wu, Woody. So that's where Woody came from. So I write under Woody, my books, I write a few books. It's Dr. Woody. Woody is Woody, but everybody calls me Woody. I have a blog and I write quite a few things, and I'm on the internet a lot, and YouTube, and I do a lot of different teachings on meditation, health, exercise. The exercise that I do are mostly internal exercises. It's Qigong. Qigong is like the parent to Tai Chi. It goes back a few thousand years. When I was 16, I met a girl. She was so cute. She was 14. And of course I wanted to take her out. So, you know, if you have a 14-year-old daughter and the 16-year-old kid with a car wants to take her out, the first thing you say is absolutely not. You're not going out. Because the mother knew what we were doing. But the mother taught yoga classes. So I said, oh, I love yoga. I didn't even know what yoga was. I thought yoga was that, you know, yogurt. So I came over and to do the yoga classes, which meant I could sit right next to the daughter. And I started taking the yoga classes, and I fell in love with the yoga classes. The girl, I married her, but it was some years later when I was 24. So that's when I got introduced to that type of alternative stuff. It was just very interesting to me. When I was a kid, there was no Ritalin. You know what Ritalin is? Ritalin's what they give hyperactive kids because they can't sit still. Well, they didn't have Ritalin yet. So my dad put me in martial art classes. So they threw me on the ground and beat me up and this. And when I came home, I didn't bother my mother anymore. I wanted to go to sleep because I just, you know. So that was the Ritalin of that day. You know, my dad said, oh, that's what we'll do. You know, I come home, want anything? No, eat, go to sleep. Boom. The aggravation from my mother was over. So the Ritalin of those days was getting your mopped up on the floor by martial arts. So I did martial arts for quite a few years, and I never fought on the street. You know, if I bow to you, and then you bow to me, and then we do our things, and then we bow back, and and then we, go out and have a cup of coffee or something. I never did street fighting. It wasn't what I learned. I learned, you know what I mean? Oh, and we're gonna fight, and that went on for quite a few years, from the time I was around 12 till I was 40, and I remember I was fighting with somebody, and somebody really hit me in the ribs hard, and I was like turning white, and my brother said, what are you doing, man? You're fighting with 25-year-old kids. I said, yeah, I'm tough. And he said, yeah, you're tough, you can't even breathe. I'm like, so, and what the person said who hit me is they said you should have blocked, which was true. I should have blocked, I didn't block, so they tagged me, and I got hit. So after about 40, I got more into the internal stuff. I've always studied meditation, was involved in the Hindu studies, and very interested in them. Around my 33rd birthday, 33 is a magic number, 33, a lot of things change in your life. So after being married for years, we decided to get a divorce, and I decided to study with a Tibetan Buddhist teacher, who I spent 30 years with studying. Not according to my dad's plan, who had a jewelry store and wanted me to run it. So I've had quite a background in Tibetan Buddhism and Tantric Buddhism and energy work. Energy work as far as Qigong, Tai Chi, that type of thing. Not really fighting martial arts, but internal. And that went on for years. Some years ago, Jerry Allen Johnson came to the Five Branches School. It used to be in Miami, and was offering a class in medical Qigong. So I took his beginning class, I took his intermediate class, and I took his master's class, and then I took the doctoral program. So in China, I'm licensed as a doctor of medical Qigong. You know, he taught me a lot, and it involves a lot of the things that I'm going to teach today in the Magic Sqaure. The Magic Sqaure is the beginning of the I Ching. So it goes into certain forms and formulas that you'll be able to use in your life. A lot of times we get stuck in a part of our life. Let's say it's a relationship. You have a relationship and you're working on your relationship and you're working on your relationship and you're working on your relationship and nothing happens. It's just frustrating because the relationship isn't working. Well, the problem is you shouldn't be working on the relationship, you should be working on yourself. And as you work on yourself, that'll correct the relationship. And we'll go into that, and the formula is actually a 2,000 or a 3,000-year-old mathematical formula on how these things work. As you know, some of you are psychologists and therapists, which I'm not. There's no psychological department in China. These are the 5 elements. This is the fire element. Color is red. The earth element.
Do we have this in your handbook?
I think, no, but I just decided to teach it. You know, yes, because I need to give you the background for it. Fire, it'll tie into this, just to give you a little foundation. Fire, earth, metal is white. We use black for white.
Is that earth and yellow?
Yeah, earth is yellow. Fire, earth, metal. Fire, metal is white. Water is blue. I guess this is blue. I'm a little colorblind. This looks blue enough to me. Fire, earth, metal, water. H2O is water. And wood is green. Sylvia, glad you brought all these colored pens.
All right.
Because and this is wood. And we've all heard of the 5 elements, but it doesn't give us any background because, oh yeah, fire element and earth element. They all have different meanings and they all have different organs and they all tie into the Magic Sqaure. The fire element.
That's earth, right?
Earth, yeah. Can you read it?
No.
It's yellow. I'll put it in a.
That's okay, I saw it.
We'll do this. We'll draw earth.
The first one is what?
And earth is yellow, the color is yellow. The Yellow River in China, the Yellow River, it's because it's earth and they, you know, it's like the center. Question? No? You're okay?
The first one is what?
Fire.
The first one is fire.
Oh, fine.
So the fire is divided into a few places. It has the heart, it has the small intestines, it has the triple warmer, which I'll talk about, and it has the pericardium. The pericardium is the sac around the heart. And the triple heater is actually, well, I use it as the waterways, how the water works in the body. It balances out upper, lower, and middle Tantien. The emotion for the heart is anxiety. Rush. Hastiness, the person can't sit still. They always have this. They can't sleep. They get insomnia. They're the type of person that's like this. You know, they're always, they can't settle down. There's too much energy in the heart. The heart, that's the negative aspect of the heart. The positive aspect of the heart is love, honor, respect. Respect, joy. Joy has to do with this joy. And that's all in the heart. So everything in every element is yin and yang. There's no there's really no good or bad energy. It's just energy and then how we use it. If it rains all day, well, we don't care, we're inside. But if you want to go to the beach, it's a horrible day. If we're inside and it's raining, we say, oh, it's raining, that's okay, we're inside, it's fine with us. So for us, it's a good day. For the kids going to the beach, it's a bad day. But we say, this is good, that's bad. We say, oh, it's good, it's raining, everything's getting watered. But if I want to go to the beach, it's bad. So there's really no good or bad, it's raining. But we all have good, bad, this is good, this is bad. And we live our life on that, which makes us a little bit crazy, good, bad, and we're running around and we don't get things particularly accomplished. On the inside, this one should be this way. On the inside are all the yin organs. That's yin, Y-I-N. Yin is female. The yin organs work all the time. The heart works all the time, the triple burner works all the time. This is the spleen. Can you read this spleen? Anyway, that's spleen. On the metal element, it would be the lungs, and the lungs are in the inside. The lungs work all the time. The water element, it's the kidney, right? It's the kidney, and for the wood element, it's the liver. Maybe it would have been easier to write with one colored pen, huh? It's the liver. The female organs work all the time. The male organs only work when they have to. The small intestines squirts, and then it's over. This is the spleen, and with the spleen goes the stomach. The stomach digests, and it's over. The lungs work all the time. The large intestines, and you're done. Right? Large intestines. The urinary bladder, the bladder, kidneys and bladder. If you're getting bladder infections, I always look into the kidneys. You notice the bladder works, and then it's over, right? The kidneys are always working, and the liver, it's the gallbladder, another little squirt, and it's over. That's the gallbladder. Okay. They all have emotions to it, each one of these elements. The earth element, which I'm going to write in black so you can see it. The negative aspect is worry. The positive is balance. Started writing this. Balance and equanimity. The metal element, it has to do with sadness and grief. GR, grief. And then the positive side of the metal elements is valor, courageousness, moving forward. On the water element, the kidneys and the bladder, it has to do with fear.
What's the positive? What is the positive?
The positive for the kidneys, it's gentleness.
No, the negative.
The negative, fear.
Fear.
Look, the kidneys have to do with a few things. It has to do with the knees, has to do with the low back, has to do with hair loss, has to do with hair loss, has to do with your libido, it has to do with hearing. So if someone comes into my office and they're having knee problems, tinnitus, ringing in their ears, low back, sexual energies down, it's always the kidneys. It has to do with some type of fear. If you don't have fear in your body, you've got a certain walk. If you have fear, you're like contracted, right? You see people walking all the time. Here in Miami, they're older, they're afraid they're going to fall because they know if they fall, they're going to break their hip. If they break their hip, they're going to put them in a wheelchair. If they put them in a wheelchair, they're going to roll them into the grave. Right? Pretty much. So people don't want to fall. So everybody's walking like this because they're afraid any moment they're going to fall. It's the same as little kids. Little kids walk like that, but when they fall, they get up. So it's all fear-based. So the gentleness, being more gentle, and usually it's being more gentle with yourself. Because a lot of people, they'll go like this, oh, and they'll beat up on themselves. You're probably sweeter to him than you are to you. He's so sweet, ooh, do booty boo. And you go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So a lot of it is balancing out that internal emotion of being more gentle with yourself. So as a psychologist, you get to see these different patterns and then how they show up in your organs and how they'll show up in your health. Because it always happens in the third body first. A little off the subject, but we'll do this quick. There's three bodies. Our physical body, our energetic body, where there's the chakras, the meridians, and then there's the spiritual body. If the spiritual body's disturbed up here by something, whatever that is, that's eventually going to go into the energetic body, and then it's going to manifest in the physical body. I work with quite a few cancer patients. That's the biggest part of my practice. And usually what happens is they're here because they have the cancer in the physical, and they're suffering from cancer, and the doctor's solution in the USA is chemo and radiation and surgery. And although sometimes it helps, sometimes it works, it doesn't address these two bodies. So what happens is the blueprint of the cancer remanifests in the body. So a lot of times doing the energetic medicine, you can disturb the blueprint, rewrite the blueprint so it doesn't keep duplicating itself. Now, this doesn't go over real big with the oncologists. You know, it doesn't fit into that because they sell chemo and radiation. So one of my patients who I just worked on, I worked on her a lot. I saw her 3 days a week for 3 months. And she had rectal cancer. She said not only did she have cancer, she had the most embarrassing. She said it couldn't have been in the breasts or somewhere else. It had to be in her. So they gave her 2 rounds of chemo and radiation 5 days a week for 6 weeks. They really fried her. I mean, they really fried her. And she was smart enough to get alternative treatments. Now, I use a lot of homeopathics. I do a lot of injectables as well. Homeopathic, European biological medicine has a much bigger range than we do in the United States. They're looking at the 3 bodies. They're looking at a different... now, why they don't bring that into the United States, and I ask, is because, you're right, you got it, self-healthy, energetically. You do exercises, you eat basically an organic diet. The problem here is our social activities are all around restaurants. Want to go out to eat? So we go to a restaurant. Want to go? So we're always going to a restaurant. When I lived in South America, if I say you want to go out to eat, whether you come to my house, but Consuelo was cooking. So I'd say, you know, when I left, I'd say, well, what I want for lunch is I'd make a soup and make this, and you'd come back and everything was on the table with a tablecloth. I went, wow, this is the greatest. And I think that cost me $125 a month. This was a good deal. So when I left Venezuela, they said, what do you miss the most? I said, I miss Consuelo. That's what I miss the most. But, you know, in the United States, our entertainment is done more in the restaurants. And I have a good friend who's a chef. He's a gourmet chef. And he doesn't cook for health. He cooks for taste. If he cooks for health, they're going to throw him out because people want to go, oh, did you taste the... I asked him, he said, oh, I made a delicious breakfast. He said, it was crab cake Benedict. It was a crab cake with poached egg on top Benedict, so I said it was delicious. He said, you can't eat it every day, it would kill you. I said, wow, was it good? Spinach around, you know, he told me what a great thing. I went, wow, it sounds delicious. But if you were sick, you wouldn't eat that for sure. You'd go, whew, I'm not gonna eat all that. I'm just not gonna eat that. So that's sort of a problem that we have in the United States is how do you can eat at home, how do you entertain? Where do you go out? You know, how do you do that socially? McDonald's and Burger King and Kentucky Fried Chicken and Jack in the Box and Wendy's are not cooking for your health at all. Zero, zip, none. They are not cooking for health. And we have a big problem with eating that food. It causes some, you know, terrible stuff in our body. Let's go back to this. Okay, like I said, this is fear and gentleness. That's for the water element. On the wood element, it's the liver and it's anger. And it's kindness. It's being kind to yourself and kind to others. So the energy goes on all the time. If a person has an extreme amount of anger, if you can move them into who's the kindest person you know. Who do you know that was kind to you? So you start doing the yin-yang pattern. You keep them in the same thing with their anger, but now you're just asking, you don't even have to say, are you kind? No, I'm not kind. Who is ever kind to you? And then they have to think. So it's sort of puts them into this pattern, and then you can move them out of that. So this is an easy solution. When you're working with people, you don't take them away from anything. You just say, well, who's kind to you? You know, you have fear, and what's gentle to you? Was your mother gentle to you? Was your father? What did you do that's gentle? How do you relax? Do you read a book? Do you swim? Do you walk? And you start to keep them in the same pattern. So this is a different map. In Chinese medicine, what's interesting, and when you study acupuncture, it's like getting on a merry-go-round. It's going around and around, and you don't really start any place. Wherever you jump on, that's what they teach you. You would imagine that they would teach you and move you on, you know, down the path, but they don't. They just say, jump on, and wherever it is. I remember this teacher, he was teaching about frog bite, and he went on and on. It was a big class on frog bite. So I raised my hand, I said, Professor, in the United States, we don't have that much problem with frog bite. He said, no, frog. I said, frog? Frog. You know, frog. Gets cold out. Frog. I was talking about frog. He was talking about frostbite. But I heard frog bite, and I'm taking my notes, and I'm going, what is he talking about? And sometimes we lose it in translation, but that he had a whole thing on frostbite, which we don't deal with too much down here, right? Has anybody from the cold or anybody ever seen snow? Or
Yeah.
Yes.
okay.
Don't like it.
We don't like it. That's where we're here. Well, I'm originally from Michigan and lived in Colorado for years, so I'm used to that. But I've been here now for 16 years, and I pretty much stay in the tropics now. Do you have any questions on this pattern? Okay. Good. Okay, let me see if there's anything else that you need here. If the person is particularly worried, let's say you have a big test in the morning, or you have a job interview and the stomach is churning, that all has to do with worry, that all has to do with the spleen. So that emotion of, is it going to happen? Diarrhea, constipation, mostly diarrhea in this area, so you're looking at that. Like I said, the heart is, they say it's a Shen disturb. If you look at the, to buy Vladimir a new, the yin-yang pattern, you've seen that before, usually it's in black and white,
Yeah.
or sometimes it'll be in red and blue. This is the traditional red and blue. The red is fire, the blue is water, so that it's the balance of the kidney and the heart. So we're always looking at that. If there's not enough moisture in the kidneys, if the kidneys are drying out, that's the yin nature. What'll happen is not only do you have the syndromes of the low back, the organs start to atrophy and dry up. If the organs start to dry up, that means the fire takes over, and then you can't sleep, and you have restlessness, and you think you're nuts, and things are going on in your mind, and you're about people are doing things, or their excess, they're cleaning and they're straightening and they're doing all that stuff. You just clean that, and they're being hyper. They're very hyper because there's no water to hold it down. If you get a cough and the cough's going, you got to strengthen the kidneys. Strengthen the kidneys. Again, it's the water energy. It holds everything down. Now balance this yin and yang energy. If I have a patient drink 2 liters of water a day, they get better with nothing else. What do you do? Every day you have to drink. Now they won't drink 2 liters of water. So I give them something. I say, I want you to take 1 drop of this and put this in the water. Put this in the water. Now this is medicine. So now that they have the medicine, they will drink that 2 liters of water a day. All the water before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. These are logical things, but people don't think of that. They say, "Oh, I didn't drink my water yet," and before they go to sleep, they drink 2 liters of water, and then all night, doctor, all night I was peeing. What do you think it was? And I look at it in a person: are they hot or are they cold? Are you usually cold all day, or do you get hot all the time? And that's how you start to balance out the yin-yang energy on what you're going to do with it. Once I have that...
What if it's too much heat? Because you just explained all the water and the cool side of it. What
if it's too much heat,
Yeah.
then I balance the water. I put in more moisture.
And if it's
If it's too cold, then I start putting in more fiery foods. I put in like cayenne red pepper. The Master Cleanse, you're familiar with that? You know the Master Cleanse? The Master Cleanse is water, lemon juice, maple syrup, and cayenne red pepper. And you make that up. I don't know the proportions right now, but that's a drink that you do for 3 or 4 days as a cleanse. And the maple syrup gives you enough sugar that your body doesn't get too cold. And then the cayenne gives you the energy. And then the lemon really helps you detox. You could look it up on the internet. It's called the Master Cleanse, and it's a very simple cleanse, and it tastes good because it's maple syrup and lemon. And you go, maple syrup and lemon.
And you don't eat anything else.
Yeah, you don't need anything else. Maybe the first day you'll get a headache, and then after that you're fine.
No,
Because,
the sugar doesn't let you get headache.
oh yeah, usually it doesn't.
I have that.
Okay.
And that.
Right, it's a very easy
You don't
cleanse.
feel hungry. So when you feel hungry, drink a little bit.
Yeah, and you're fine. Yeah, it
Because
really
has
is
to
a helpful one. And you can have a big bottle of it and it tastes good because it's maple syrup. You go, maple syrup, this is good. And it's an enjoyable one. Okay, mythology, the fire is the phoenix. This guy was hard to find. Toys R Us. I looked all over the city. Okay, so this is the fire element. These are for the protections too, because a lot of these things have built-in protections to protect yourself when you're going to work with people. You is the turtle. So the turtle's depicted by a turtle shell protecting your back, and there's usually a snake around the turtle. So something comes to get you, the snake gets it, but the turtle protects you.
How does that go in order? How does it?
The phoenix is in front. So here's the fire up on top. Here's the water on the bottom.
Turtle's the water?
The turtle's the water. The dragon is the liver on the left. The left side's the dragon, the liver. Which one of these? On the left side. Yeah, yeah, that would be the liver.
That's the wood, right?
The liver's a wood element. Here, see these all, as I'm this is a whole system, so as I'm teaching you these different parts, there's a lot of parts to it. It'll all relate to the Magic Sqaure, that whole formula. So you'll get this, so you can see sort of the mythology in your own body. Because when you set these up, when I set these up,
What's the last one, tiger?
white tiger is the lungs. It's the green dragon, it's the white tiger, it's the red phoenix, and the turtle's either blue or black. The tortuga is the water element. This is the kidneys. The fire element is the phoenix. Yeah, the heart. Right. So I'm saying the Chinese, they have a very interesting system because they have animals that go with it because they're making it easy for you. The white tiger's the lungs. White's the lung, so it's the lung and large intestines. Yeah, the metal element. The dragon is green. Sort of an interesting mythology that we never think of, but they have all these different pieces which ties it all in.
There is one left.
What is this called?
The pakwa.
Yeah. When I was in China, I went to this monastery. And when I went to the monastery, I asked to see the head Lama. I said, I'm from the land of Milau Shu, Mickey Mouse. So I said, oh, Milau Shu, come in. So I'm Dr. Wu from the land of Milau Shu. So of course the head priest wanted to meet me. So anyway, I said, what I would like from you, I've come to your country, and I would like a blessing. I would like a blessing. So he said, okay, give me a blessing. So he went like this. You're part of the group, you don't get one. I give you one. Oh, look at that.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And the blessing was his business card. That was a blessing. But it turned out to be a blessing because I had the business card, and whenever I went anywhere and I wanted to get in, I'd show them the card, and they let me through. So a lot of times I give you a blessing by giving you the card. If you look at the card, I think.
Question, why this is 3 instead of the yin and yang?
Why is it 3? Whole teaching on the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva from the Hindus, aim, contribution, and participation from the Tibetans, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, Mother, Father, and Child. Everything is done in the Trinity. And a lot of times, the important thing in the yin-yang is not so much these two, but it's actually this energy around it. There's actually 3 this, because it's constant. We're never yin or yang. We're always moving, and that's the Trinity. So that came out to be my logos. It's the same in our life. For our growth, we need love and care and all the nice things, the sunshine. But we also, to make us grow, you need something to come in to shake you up. Because if not, we go to the beach every morning, we sit at the beach, have a little cappuccino, a little biscotti, boom, boom, boom. This is a wonderful life, and this is what we do. But after doing that, for 6 months or a year, you go, I'm bored. I need something. Ooh, I think I'm going to hang out with her, and she's going to make me crazy. But I'm going to do it anyway because it's exciting. I'm going to say, wow, that's just what I need. somebody to make me nuts. It was so peaceful. This is a tic-tac-toe game. Okay, the tic-tac-toe game is the beginning of the Magic Square. The Magic Square comes from two different teachings. One is from the Celtic teachings, they call it geomancy, and in the Chinese system where they call it feng shui. It's a mathematical formula. It goes 1, 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, that's a 7, 8, and 9. 9 and 4 and 2. How much is that? 9 and 4 and 2?
15.
Oh, no, wait, 15.
15, okay. 2 and 5 and 8.
15.
1 and 5 and 9.
15.
So any way you go in the Magic Square, it's a formula. Now you'll see it in the Chinese system. You'll see it as a pakwa. An octagon. You'll see that octagon. Now if you look on, I'll get you for a second. Page 1, see the octagon shape?
Yeah.
That octagon shape,
Those are numbers.
yeah, those are the different numbers in there. I don't know, this doesn't have numbers, but the numbers relate to the different on page 5, it has the different trigrams, and on page 6, it has the explanation of what those trigrams are. Bigger class with a lot more information, but we want to use this, and how we use this is number 1 is for your career,
R-E-E-R.
That's it. That's not right, but that's not how it's doing here. So everybody said R, and I heard
That's okay, we understand what you mean.
this is the career, okay. So, okay. The career, on the bottom, it's the kidney energy. It's your foundation, it's your strength. So it relates to the kidneys, and they say it's the journey. So, you know, the journey is you start a path, and the journey leads you through. From the career, we go up here to dual cultivation. This is your relationships. This is your partner. This is your business partner. This is the love of your life. This is everything to do with cultivating something together with someone else. Your business, whatever that is. And if you look on page 1, see it says earth, relationship, marriage. The color's pink. Southwest is the direction. Go to this real quick so you can see, and then we'll come back. Sometimes you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the spleen, this is the heart, however the heart is, use another bump. This is the heart, this is the kidneys, this is the liver, and this is the lungs. The spleen's always in the middle, stomach and the spleen. That's why you come into somebody's house, are you hungry? Let me give you some food. The Chinese, the first question, how is your appetite? Are you eating well? It's important because the spleen energy feeds the lungs, it feeds the heart, it feeds the liver, and it feeds the kidneys. If you're not getting nourishment, then you're not feeding the other organs. So it's nourishment and how you feed yourself. A lot of times how we feed ourselves is if we buy a new, let's say you just get a new Maserati. Whoa, Maserati, cool car. You've got this new car. You don't need it, but you got it. You won a Maserati. You might sell it, but you say, I think I'm going to drive it for a couple weeks. just to see how I'm in the Maserati. You would not pull into the cheapest gas station and put in the cheapest gas in it. You wouldn't even think of it. You said, this is a $250,000 car. I'm going to put in the best gas I can. Got this cool car. But you might pull into McDonald's because you're in a hurry to have an Egg McMuffin because you got to get to work. So you're putting the cheap fuel in you, but in your Maserati, I'm like, I'm going to put the best there is. Right? You wouldn't even think of putting the Egg McMuffin in the Maserati. No way. Not going to do it. Too expensive. Too precious. Then you might be out there rubbing it, cleaning it. Ooh, look at the cool car I have. Take a picture of me by my car. You do that, but we don't, a lot of times we forget about ourselves and we don't put in the best of fuel. If you put in the best of fuel, it'll feed the heart, it'll feed the lungs, it'll feed the liver, and it'll feed the kidneys. So, back to this. 5 is spirit. Everything crosses through spirit, no matter what you're doing. So, yeah, the yin and yang, the center, everything passes through spirit. Everything has a spiritual aspect to it. And if you don't acknowledge spirit, because I don't believe in it, you don't have to believe in God. We're just talking about the energetic quality. There is a source of energy. If a rabbit gets his foot caught in the woods, he screams out for help. I think he screams to the rabbit god? You know, I don't know, but he screams, right? We're all, oh, help, I need some help. So we're opening up to that energy, no matter what kind of energy it is, no matter if it's Buddha or Jesus or Mohammed, or we just know that hello, I need a little help here, right? We all say, whew, I could use some help, I need a little help. Oh, I hope I get some help. I'm going to buy this lotto, I need some help. Whatever it is, we're asking for somebody. We're asking the lotto god. That help comes through spirit. It's not religion, but it's the essence of whatever that is. It's the essence. We're all here. We came here to learn, so there's a certain energy in this room that we're trying to suck up this knowledge, this energy, to embody it so we can use it with our patients, with our family, with our friends, for ourselves to get stronger. And that all has to do with spirit. This is your fame. The final outcome. Eventually where you're going to get, or where you want to get. So if you want to get to fame or prosperity or success in your life, you're going from career, which is the adventure, which is moving through, you go from that adventure to the final conclusion, or your success. It still goes through that pattern. You're not going to you can't work on fame and fortune unless you have a way to get there. So you work on career, and then that moves you through. This is the vehicle that will take you through to your fame and your fortune and the final outcome and what you'll get. If you ignore spirit, then you don't get there. What's your question?
What organs, I guess, do they relate to? Like the career was kidney. What is
heart? It's the same. It's the same. It's always the same. This would be the stomach and the spleen. This is the center. It's the spirit. It's our nourishment. When you're doing Qigong or Tai Chi, they always say, okay, bring your attention to 4 fingers under the navel point. Drop your energy, because you want, if you're up here, you breathe up there, you're going to get overexcited, you're going to be out, if any of you have worked with patients, or if you got to get them grounded, you got to get them out of here, you got to get them back down so they feel grounded with the earth. This is a simple exercise that I do a lot. It really works well. I start like this, the hands come up, I'm pulling up the energy of the earth, I turn the hands over, I reach up to the heavens, and I pull the heavens through. So we'll do it again. I'm inhaling, I'm pulling up my hands are down, I'm pulling up the energy from earth, shoulder level, the hands come up, I grab the energy from the heavens and I pull it into the lower Tantien. It's just below the navel point. I always do it 3 times. And this way I settled my energy. I brought all my energy from up here, all this excitement, back to here. If I'm here, I'm very grounded, I'm very centered, I'm very much in the middle, and now it's easier for me to do things with you and with myself, because my energy isn't, up here, and I'm excited about teaching you the thing. It pulls me down. Before I go in the ocean, I always acknowledge that energy, because I'm coming into the sea. The same with the woods, the same with the mountains, the same with a river. Whenever you're going into the elements, because you're starting to bring yourself in a situation where there's elemental forces. There's a spirit of the mountains. There's a spirit of the desert. There's a spirit of the ocean. There's a spirit of the sea. All those things, they have a certain energy to it. I need to ask permission. So what you're doing is, by this, you're asking permission to enter. It just calms things. Oh, my name's Dr. Wu, how are you? And then you say, oh, come on in, I'll talk to you. So that's what you're doing with that exercise, okay? You got it? That's part of the spiritual part. This is part of the nourishment. This is the stomach and spleen. So we're moving through cultivation. Number 3 is family. This is family, this is children, the kids, your ancestors. Right, where you're coming from, what your lineage is. When I was going through acupuncture school, it was way too much for me. Because they don't like give you, we're going to learn this today, they give it all to you at once. It was overwhelming. So I had an opportunity to go back to Detroit. So my family are all merchants. My dad had jewelry stores, my uncle had, they were all in the gold business, gold and diamond business, and they were all merchants for years and years. So I decided I want to be a doctor. So I already know all about, you look at the diamond and you sell the diamond, and that was easy. So I said, boy, how am I going to take in this big body of knowledge? This is really too much. So I went to the cemetery where my grandmother and grandfather are buried. And my uncles are buried. My dad's father, who died when my dad was, I went there and I said, I need some help. I need some help here. I'm trying to learn this Chinese medicine. It's 4 years of internal medicine. I don't have any background for internal medicine, except my martial art practices. So I asked my ancestors for their help. So I called on my ancestors. So when you're asking for something, you would try to go back into your lineage, to go back into your mother and your father and your grandmother and your grandfather, and go all the way back into the lineage and ask for that. When I lived in Hawaii, every August there's a celebration of the Japanese, and they do a drumming ceremony. They have it also here at the Murakami Museum in August. They do those drums, those. But in Hawaii, then the family, they would invite you to come to the cemetery, because they would be having a picnic with their ancestors. So I went to see. So they, oh, how are you? Would you like something to eat? Would you? I'm going, boy, this is really strange. But it's their culture, so they're still acknowledging their whole lineage. Just because someone's not in their body, it doesn't mean that they're not part of you. So that's what I did. I asked. So over here, family, kids, leads through spirit, and this is your legacy. Legacy, this is also your projects. Does it say it in those charts? Well, anyway, it's legacy and projects. What you're going to leave. What will be, when you're gone, what are you going to leave? Are you going to leave a lot of money? What will you leave? What will be the part of you that your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, I want the bracelet. But, you want to leave some part of you, because that's where your longevity is. Your longevity, my dad died, my mother was a wreck. Oh my goodness, going through all this. She was married to my dad for 50 years. So before she lived with my dad, she lived with my grandparents. So all of a sudden, my grandparents are gone, my dad's gone, my mother said, what do I do? Where do I go now? So I said, Mom, your longevity is in my children and my grandchildren. So now my mother, she moved to Detroit because my kids are there and my grandchildren are there. So as she plays with them, she gets the joy of the grandchildren, of the great-grandchildren, because that's her legacy. That's where and at least they have a contact with her. It's a shame when they put an old person in a home and nobody sees them, because they don't get that. They don't get that. So my mother gets that from the grandchildren, and that's one of her joys, is the kids coming over and eating an ice cream out of the freezer and getting an apple and dropping something on the floor and whatever they do. So that's her longevity, and that's all of our longevity. We don't realize that, but our longevity, and I guess I never realized that. You realize it as you get older. You're going, ooh. I thought I was invincible. I thought I was like the Highlander most of my life. You know who that is? The Highlander's that guy with a sword that there can only be one and he never dies. And I said, I am invincible. And now I'm noticing, I'm saying, boy, there's a little sore in my invincibility. God here, family, pride. Number 4 is our money. Whoa. Fortunate blessings. This one is upside down. On page 3, it's upside down. On page 3, make an arrow if this is upside down. Number 3, wealth is in the upper corner.
Yeah.
Number 3, this is number 3. No, it's number 4, I'm sorry. It's number 4. Number 3 is here. It's upside down in the chart. We did it late last night before we split.
So you have to turn that around?
Yeah, you'll have to turn this one around.
Okay, what is your number 4?
On page 3, it's upside down. See, wealth is up there. Fame. Fame is on the top. This is number 9. This is number 1 on the bottom. It's just upside down in this chart. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now, on the front cover, it's the same pattern. This is just in Tibet, in the Tibetan language. It's the same thing. 1, 2, 3. See, the numbers are in the right place. It's the same chart, and sometimes how they'll depict it is they'll do. See, did we bring the dots? Dots. Let's see if we brought the dots. Sometimes you'll see this depicted like this. I'll tell you where this comes from. One of the emperors was trying to reroute the river, and a tortoise, a giant tortoise, came out of the water. And the giant tortoise he had these patterns on it, and it went like this. It was 1 dot, and then 2, and then 1, 2, 3, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if you look, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it had all these dots on this, and then the 6 went over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the 9, 3, 6, 9. In the old books, you'll see it like this. You'll only see these dots on it. And the dots, this is the number 1, this is the number 2, there's a number 3, 4, and it all relates to the same thing. It's the same pattern. But in the ancient books, you'll just see the dots. So he saw these things on the tortoise, and he came up with this system. Where is that chart? We came up with this system, set as the basis for the yin and for the I Ching. It's the basis for the martial art, the pakwa, certain movements, animal movements. It's the basis of the whole Chinese system of the mythology. So what you're getting is you're getting the system here, and then next Saturday, except for you, who's leaving us and going to Orlando.
Sorry about that.
Okay. If anybody wants anything from Orlando, maybe a Mickey Mouse t-shirt, you never know. But anyway, that's the whole foundation of this system. And then as you do the exercises, you get each one of these into your body. So you start to embody this, and then this becomes part of you. And you can use this map for your clients. Let's see, where are we? Family, legacy. People are having trouble. You know, they're going to their family and their kids and all that, and they're trying to figure out how to do that. Sometimes I'll have them work on their legacy. What are you leaving? What projects are you doing now? And I have them work on the opposite, because it always pulls through the spirit. I never have them work on the family problem. I always take them away from that and work on something, or look at the imbalance in the family or in your life. What's not working? How's your money? Is your money okay? How are you with your family? Your relationship? How are you doing with your relationship? What projects do you have now? What do you plan on leaving? Are you just gonna? That's it. The watch. That's all you're gonna leave. Do you know how much J. Paul Getty left when he died?
Who?
J. Paul Getty. He was
Very rich man.
he left it all. He left it all. You don't get to take anything with you. That's it. So we're all going to leave it all anyway. But what can you leave? You leave who you are, the vibration of who's this. This is grandma this, or my abuela, or whatever that is. You leave that, and that's when you're working on this thing. You can't work on my daughter's not talking to me. You have to work on yourself over here, on your projects. And as you put this together, and if it's a book, or if it's a play, or if you danced, or whatever that is, that's really what they're going to remember. 6. 6 is travel and influential people. So if you want to bring wealth into your life, you can't work on your money. A lot of it is it's who you know. They always say it. When I lived in South America, they said it's always who you know. It's the same here. It's always who you know. If you know the right people, so if you have a party to go to that party, because you're going to meet somebody. Coming here today, I got to meet all of you. A few of you, because you're patients or you've come to the meditation class. But most of you, I don't know. So I came into the office. So now we're sharing all this. She does psychology, she does that. I said, oh, Lucy, I haven't seen you in years. So we reconnected. So as we're reconnecting, it brings in things for all of us. Oh, I can use that, I can do that. Hi, Lucy, is still doing facials? Oh, I want to get a facial. So we start to connect again, and that brings everything together. So we'll all get more than the knowledge out of this class. I get to hang out with you, and we get to share, and we get to eat whatever. Those cookies reminded me of the cookie. Those cookies you bought, they taste like an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Waffle.
I'm born December 12th. December 12th is It's the same day of the Saint of Guadalupe, the
Virgin.
patron saint
Virgin
of
Guadalupe.
Mexico.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm living in Venezuela and I'm walking home. And in front of the church is a great big line. So I said, it's my birthday. I wonder what's going on at the church. I don't speak any Spanish. Hola. That's what I can say. So I said, I'll get in line. You know, everybody's very friendly. You know, hola, hola, doctor. I said, oh, this is fun. My girlfriend's waiting for me. Took a couple hours to get through the line. I got through the line because I thought it was some kind of party. So, and then they give me a little water and one of those cookies like we had out there. So I said, so I got home and Deanna said, where were you? I said, there's a party at the church. She said, what kind of party? I said, I don't know, I don't speak any Spanish. She said, what do they do at the party? I said, I don't get it. I thought it was a blessing. They gave me a glass of water, you know, a little glass of water, and a cookie. It was horrible. She said, you idiot, you took communion. You're not allowed to take communion. Oh, I said, that's my patron saint. I said, we share the same birthday. So that's my saint, Saint of Guadalupe. We share the same birthday. So I didn't know that. So I got a picture of her at home. She's now my saint. This is a really important one over here, is the self-cultivation. Self-cultivation is your exercise, is your diet, is your clothes, is your makeup, is everything that makes you up. It's how you put yourself together. It's your grooming, it's how you care for yourself. If you want someone to come in your life and be your partner or your lover or whatever it is, you need to work on yourself. People are always saying, my boyfriend, my this, my girlfriend, they're not doing what I want them to do. You know, they're not loving me. He doesn't this. It also has to do with your wisdom. This is the wisdom. Wisdom and knowledge. Learn things. That's really not wisdom, it's knowledge. We're getting knowledge today. But then practicing that and using it would be wisdom. So you realize that if you want something in your life or someone or your relationship isn't working particularly the way you like it, something's wrong, it's not them. It's not them, it's you. It's all you. If you exercise, if you get bigger muscles, if you lose weight, if you eat a healthier diet, if you're feeling good and you really love you, somebody else, it's coming right through spirit, is definitely going to be in love with you. If you love yourself a lot and you're doing things with yourself and you're exercising and you're doing some form, if you're doing things that make you better, it's going to make the relationship better. And the more you work on yourself, it's not selfishness, you know, it's just keeping your act together. I have a client right now and her husband has a lot of money. And he buys a lot of stuff. And what's happening is she's feeling choked because these bookshelves would be full. And this would be full. Everything in their house. They have beautiful things, but instead of having one, they have 30 of them. So what happened is, it's some type of syndrome. I don't know what that's hoarding. It's called hoarding. And he buys a lot of stuff, but he'll go on the internet and say, "Oh, I love that turquoise necklace." He'll buy 30. Yeah, I mean, he has the money to do it. So when he was suggested by his mother that he goes in for some type of therapy, he said, "I would rather buy than get the therapy, because the therapist is going to tell me to stop buying, and that's not what I want to do." So what's happening is his wife is, you know, she's like choked off because the houses, they're beautiful. Now they're thinking of putting 2 more rooms in. I told her, I said, what can happen is he could end up, or you could end up with congestive heart failure because everything is getting congested. So I was wrong. Who's getting sick is their daughter. The daughter is sick because the daughter is saying, "Mommy and Daddy keeps buying, Mommy's getting choked off, I can't handle it, So she's getting sick. So she came over the house and had some type of reaction, her throat closed up, and they had to call and shoot her with an EpiPen so she could breathe. So that's where it's manifesting not in the couple, but it's manifesting in their kid. The mother said to me, "What can I do? What can I do? He won't stop buying." So I said, "Clean up your own stuff. Get your clothes together, get your shoes together, get your paper," because she saves papers. She has every booklet in the world. She has every article in the world. I said, "It's all on the internet now. Everything's on the internet." So this week she told me she's thrown away tons and tons of papers. So she's starting to work on herself, because if she can get herself together, either he'll see it, or it'll go away.
They just need to get another house.
They put them in storage. This friend of mine, she built a second floor, but you could not pass, but only maybe something like this in her whole house. Nobody can sit in any place because everything is with stuff.
Right.
The ceiling, it goes to the ceiling. Everything is like a storage. And she built a second floor because she was going to organize all the things and going to put everything. And she put, while they were building the second floor, she put everything in a storage to be able to, when everything was ready with the building, she was going to bring it and she was going to do it right. To make the story short, when everything was in the storage, she continued buying. So now she had the second floor absolutely fills up exactly the same. The first floor exactly the same, and she built a Florida room in the side of because she has a house on a big lot, and exactly the same. So she cannot even walk in the house.
What it'll do eventually is it'll cause some type of health problem in the family. I always thought it was going to be the mother and the father, but it turns out is the children are so wrapped up in look what mommy and daddy are doing that who it's affecting is the kids instead. So in this type of thing like that, you could end up losing a child. Because it's such a strong thing, and if it doesn't change, the universe will cause some change, something to make the change. So occasionally you'll see it, and what will happen is the child will die, or the child will get very sick, and that means mother and father all of a sudden put all their energy into the child. But I think the universe always supplies us with lessons to get us out of our situation. So no matter